All right, well, as you might, or indeed might not know, there is a by-election coming up in Port Waikato because the ACT candidate, Neil Christensen, who we had on this show just a few weeks prior, died an untimely death just prior to the election, which threw everything out of whack. So the way it goes is you have a by-election in Port Waikato, and it looks likely that my next guest will win that by-election, with Labor saying we haven't got a snowballs, ACT not standing out of respect, I guess, for Neil, and Casey Costello, who is an impressive candidate from New Zealand First, standing but not expected to win. So the guy in the hot seat, and Ben, you'll put him to air, is Andrew Bailey, already a National Party MP. Andrew, how are you, mate?
Oh, very good. Although I've got to do another campaign, which is a bit of a pain, but you've got to do what you've got to do.
Yeah. Andrew, in reality, though, this is quite an unusual set of circumstances. I mean, you're not going out annoying people by knocking on their doors, are you?
Well, I am to some extent, but because partly it's just to make sure people are aware of what's going on. The best thing that's happened recently, and didn't really happen during the general election, is people have now got their voting papers, so they've suddenly realised, gee, we can vote and probably have to vote. But up to a week or so ago, people would say to me on the door, hey, I voted for you already, and I don't need to vote again, do I? And so what I'm having to say to them is, hey, thanks for that, but you do have to vote again because none of those votes were counted.
Now, look, here, I didn't realise this, Andrew, and when you think about it, it's obvious. Were party votes counted?
Yeah, party votes were counted, but even though we were halfway through the election period, the voting period, when Neil died, unfortunately, that's when they didn't count any votes for the local MP candidate, electorate MP, and so that's why half the electorate think that they've already voted and they were probably counted. That's what they're assuming.
All right. Is there any chance you're not going to win, though?
Well, I'm not taking anything for granted, but it would be a problem if I didn't win.
Yeah. And I guess... unusual circumstances. Everyone likes to have their own electorate, don't they? You wouldn't be a second-class citizen as a list. I mean, those lists. Have you got any list MP? No. Actually, has National got any list MP? Well, you got Jerry.
Well, technically, I am the last of the list MPs for National because effectively I'm fourth on the list right now for National. But I came in to be an electorate MP.
Yeah,
and so. The thing about this is if people vote for me, I become an electorate MP that existing.
And someone else comes in. Who's the person who comes in off the National Party list?
Nancy Liu. So it means we get more Chinese representation, which means that, that's why the Parliament grows to 123.
Yeah. I guess, too, it's not like you've got much to be going on with because of the unusual timing and counting of the specials, there's not actually a lot of, if you like, just normal grunt work or government work going on. It's all these coalition negotiations. I guess that frees up a bit of... you could be kicking back at the beach, Andrew, as it were, but you're not. You've got a campaign.
Exactly, Sean. And if you want to come up here and help me, I'm very helpful. I'd be very glad if you help. But, you just can't assume. And actually, I like door knocking, and the best thing about right now, if we put a positive spin on it, normally when you're in Parliament, you get so many invitations that you have to decline a lot of them. So, like yesterday morning, I had an official bike race in Otau, which is near Waiuku, and then, I've been facilitating meetings about offshore wind in Waiuku, another place, and then down in Pokeno, and I met the mayor and all this sort of stuff. You've got lots of opportunity to do all that stuff and be present in the electorate, and I love it. I know a lot of these people. It's great walking around talking to friends almost.
Yeah. Andrew, did you know Neil?
I did, and I did know Neil, and as I said at the time, he was one of New Zealand's top poultry vets, and we don't have enough of them. The second thing, because I know people tell me what's going on, I knew something had happened the night before, and then next morning I heard early that someone from ACT, so I actually texted Neil on the morning and to say, I hope you're all right, Neil, just give us a call back. And of course, I didn't get a call.
Yeah.
And it was only in about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was out way down south over the Waikato River putting up signs, actually.
Yeah.
And the media started ringing me up. So I immediately rang David Seymour, who, he's my peer in Parliament.
Well, I told you, Andrew, we had him on the show because I'd been talking to David about the bottom of the list where we look for the most obscure candidates. And David had said to me, if you want to talk to a really interesting guy, talk to Neil Christensen. And we got him on the show and we had a lovely chat. He was a very nice man and he represented all the good things about giving it a crack in politics. He was exactly the right sort of person to get into it.
Oh, yeah. And, he and I used to sit together in debates and, have a good natter. And so, it was pretty tragic for the family. And, but these things happen, don't they, unfortunately?
All right. Well, look, I'll let you get back to the campaigning, Andrew, though I think we know what the outcome is going to be. And hopefully there's a government for you to join by the time the by-election's over.
Well, that's right. We had Chris out at Port Waikato on Saturday, and he said he was working hard to try and bring it to a close. We just got to bring it to a close so we can get on and start doing the changes that we need to make as a country and move forward. Yeah. Start talking about what we're going to do, not what we haven't done.
Do you believe there should be a referendum on the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi?
Well, let's see about that.
Have a good day, Andrew.
All
Thanks for your time. That is Andrew Bailey. He's the National Party candidate, already an MP, and probably going to be the next MP for Port Waikato. Ever been to Port Waikato? Do you know where it is? Could that be a mystery political location?